Perry. Welcome, Perry. My name is Pat. I'm not sure if we've met before. I'm head of relations here at Videopro. I guess we're very excited to be running this event. And we did have more people signed up than just one, so hopefully we'll get a few more along. But I guess we're big fans of the CommBox product. And we're very excited to see the new features and product throughout the session. But we're also a fan of the people and mustaches. And so, and isn't that a nice segue? Hand over to you, Pete.
Thank you. Thanks, Pat. Pat and Pete too. I think the names roll off the tongue together.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Perry. So we've got the 3 Ps in here actually. So Perry, I have actually just hit a button that allows you to talk. So if you do have a mic there and you have any questions and you want to unmute, feel free to. Otherwise, we do also have the chat feature, the Q&A section and the chat feature. So feel free to use either of those if you do have any questions as we go along. Happy to, tailor, towards your school and information for you specifically. So yeah, look, if you hadn't heard of CommBox before or you have seen us around, today we just want to go through a few of the key highlights, some new stuff coming. Going to give you a couple sneak peeks into what's on the horizon as well. And yeah, just run through how schools are using this, the sort of products, the signage, the manage, and everything that we can do in your school and everything that is being used in other schools there as well. So yeah, look, CommBox, we have been around for a long time. Education is especially, we started in 1976. Our first product was called Video Commander. There's still remnants of it in many schools today. If you want to see if your school has it, chances are go to the library and you'll find out pretty quick. Our founder back in 76, he worked on Pi protocols before that, which was infrared. So that's where we got all the wireless remotes from today. We are an OEM manufacturer, so we do build for other brands as well. Other brands much bigger than ours as well, even overseas. Look, just a few highlights for us in 2021. We've doubled in size. We've done that a few years in a row now, which is excellent. We have added to our development and marketing teams, especially development. So one thing for us, look, we are an Australian company. All of our products are designed here in Australia. And beyond that, we actually develop them. So what I mean by that is we actually write our CommBox OS. So, it's based on Android, but we actually write the software. And I'm going to come back to that a bit later and why that's important. We also have a customer success team. So the customer success team is all about training. So basically post-sale, once there's been a sale made, Videopro and ourselves can both provide training, whether that's on-site or via Teams, and actually this room that I'm in now. So I'm actually looking at you guys on a 55-inch classic there on the wall. And then behind me, we have a 98-inch touchscreen that we're using. Number one, we took the #1 spot this year based on the amount of panels coming into Australia, interactive flat panels. We can tell by the data that we are selling the most. So that's something we're very proud of. Great for an Australian company, especially in Australia. Just some of the highlights and something that we're going to run through today. So CommBox Manage, I will come back to that, but essentially all that's about is how to manage and control your screens remotely. Now, if your school has multiple campuses or you have, say, screens, junior, senior, you can actually split up the classes or split up those screens so that you can send a message or particular apps to download to those. I will come back to that one. Mirrorcast and AirServer we have built into our panels. The Combox Crew I'm going to spend a bit more time on. Live chat I'll point out. Signage I'll point out a couple of things there too. New mounts, new screens, buyback program, and then a couple of contracts and highlights for us that we'll touch on as well. I do want to start with the Combox Crew. So the Combox Crew, this is I think really why we have the best products on the market. And of course, I'm biased. I'm going to be saying that, but if you have used the CommBox, some of the feedback we get is it is the fastest or most responsive touchscreen that many people have used. And a lot of people really love our apps and development as well. So I'll show you that shortly. But the reason that we know our product is loved is actually via the Combox Crew. So the Combox Crew is made up of educators, we have IT managers, we have principals, we have technophobes. We know that some teachers especially are not going to embrace technology as soon as it gets in the classroom. There's going to be some people that still actually heard of a chalkboard still being used in a classroom the other day, believe it or not. Not even a whiteboard, an actual chalkboard. And basically, the Combox Crew is made up of these people and C-level staff as well, CEOs, COOs, CTOs, etc. In Australia, in New Zealand. So what we do is we have focus group style sort of interactions with them where we ask them, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to see more of? What do you wish we had? All that sort of question. And then that's how we actually build our product roadmap. So that's quite different. Most companies, and in fact, how we used to operate was purely based on feedback that the sales team would get. We'd pass it on to our development team, and then they'd make a product or not, depending on what the feedback was. Once we get the feedback from the Combox Crew, our development team, they don't just make a product straight away. They go, they brainstorm, they come up with a draft plan, they take it back to the people that they were asking about and the people that gave that feedback. We say, okay, how does this sound? From there, they may have another iteration from there. But essentially what happens is this feedback from our users is passed to our development team. And that's how we come up with our software, our hardware, and our product suite in general. A few other highlights that we have come up with a whole bunch of new stands. This is a category we're calling AV furniture. So I'm sure you've seen variations of these before, a tilt stand. This one's quite cool. It can actually be floor mounted with a base plate or on wheels. Great thing about this stand is the power actually goes into the back and travels up the middle pillar. So there's no cables, there's no loose wiring and things like that. We've got the easel. It's actually a slight degree tilt back, so about 12-degree tilt. So if you're standing in front of it, it's great to use artists, lobbies, things like that. We also have the urban. So these two are motorized. Again, they're wall mounted. They bolt into the wall. They sit on the floor. And again, you have that ability to raise the screen up and down, especially for those junior rooms. We find they're really popular. Universal VC bracket. So this is not just for our panel. This will work on pretty much any panel with any camera. We've tested this from the Jabra Panacast, which is literally about the size of my finger, to the Crestron Flex, which is probably about the size of my arm. So yeah, great product. Will work on any panel, top mount or bottom mount. And then, yeah, very flexible. You can adjust the width and everything as well. Now, interactive versus display. So obviously I'm using the interactive here. This is our classic. This is actually our 3rd gen, or if we were technical, maybe 3.5 generation of the classic that we've done. The 1st generation was made 11 years ago, and we're still having schools use that in classrooms today. How do we know that? Well, it's because we try to sell them more and they say, no, they don't need it. They're still using the old ones. So we do know that they're still using them. In terms of interactive versus display, look, not every environment needs interactive. I will say something on this, actually. I think there is a perception, especially in some high schools, that, especially from teachers, I think mostly, about, oh, well, I teach year 11 and 12 advanced English. My students don't need to practice their handwriting on the board. They're writing 5,000-word essays. Fair point. That's fine. If you really want to display, that's completely fine. But when you think about what is the difference between interactive and display, look, they both replace a projector. So that's one tick. They both will last longer, better return on investment than a projector. They're both brighter, easier to read. But the thing about the interactive is it really unlocks the room. And what I mean by that is you're not limited to one point of the classroom. If you have your desk at the front of the room, maybe you use Vivi, maybe you're casting wirelessly, you're walking around the classroom, you got a laptop or a tablet, that's great. Obviously, you can annotate and send that to the screen. But it also means if you put your laptop down, you can walk up to the screen and still control the screen at the front. So it just creates more flexibility for the classroom. You don't just have one option, you have a few. Now signage. Signage is something we are seeing pick up in schools. And so just for the couple that we've had join recently, I just wanted to say welcome. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop a question in the Q&A section or the chat box as we go along. Now signage. Signage can be used in admin buildings. We see it used in school canteens. You know, obviously outside of education, we've got corporate, we've got you know, retail environments, cafes, hospitality, things like that. But in schools, you got your admin, you got your cafe, you've probably got screens around hallways of the school, you know, message boards, essentially, alerts and things like that. And look, you can also put signage onto your Classic, so it doesn't have to be on the display. It will work on the touchscreen, so great for your open nights. In fact, one thing that we have a few schools doing now is when they have an open night, they'll have signage up on the screen, and they'll actually have a QR code that they create. All signage is created through our system. You can import your own, but this is how most schools do it. QR code, parent goes, oh, that's really cool. I want to find more information on that. Scan the QR code. They'll go to a link on your website, so you can all direct that. Makes it super easy. It could be a form like click here to enroll, or, you know, put your details in here for an information call, things like that. It's also very affordable and easy to use. Miracast and AirServer in general. So one thing that we've done recently is have AirPlay in our screen. So AirPlay involves Miracast. What's the AirServer we put in our screen. So it's got Miracast, AirPlay, and Chromecast. So whatever device you're using is fine. Obviously, the great benefit for Windows is it's built for touch. So Windows K on your laptop, boom, you can cast the screen. You can do security settings, of course, so you can do a prompt so the teacher has to say yes. It could be a PIN code or something like that. So there are options there. But the other thing beyond that is you can connect multiple screens at once, still with touch, which is beautiful. Otherwise, if you're using Vivi on your school, we also have Vivi built into the CommBox. You still need that subscription, but it means there's one less point of failure in the classroom being that hardware box. So we do have schools using both the hardware with the CommBox and then the software, the app version with it as well. But yeah, look, that was another great example of Australian collaboration. We're Australian, Vivi's Australian. Funnily enough, coincidentally, the CTO here, the CTO there, they're both named Ian. So both Ian spent a lot of time working together, getting this up and running, and we were the first panel to the market with Vivi built in. Manage. Okay. I imagine that most of you would have used mobile device management at some point in your school or in another line of work. So the beauty of our device management is, yes, of course, you can control the CommBox screens themselves, but you can also add your other devices. If you want to add your iPads, iPhones, teachers' devices, students' devices, laptops, all that sort of stuff, you can actually put onto our system as well. It's really affordable, $100 for a 7-year license. So that's nice and easy. It is built into the touchscreen, by the way, so the cost is included in there. Look, the beauty of it, you know, you can do things like you can remote in, take control of the screen. Being in IT, I'm sure we all know when it comes to hardware, generally it's not the hardware at fault, it's the person in front of it. So, you know, typical situation might be teacher calls up and says, hey, I'm in this room. I've got my laptop connected. I've got the CommBox on. There's nothing going on. What's up? Can you help me? And then you get there and they're on the wrong input, or the CommBox isn't on. You know, something pretty basic like that. So that's something you'll be able to do remotely. You can also send a message to it like, hey, Jimmy, your mother's here in the front office. She's got your lunch that you forgot. Can you please come and get it? It could be an alert. It could be a evacuation notice, emergency notice. It could be a school lockdown, something like that. And again, you can group the screens. So you could, if it's just one building that has a fire and not everyone has to evacuate, you send it to that one building and everyone will leave. You can do that with a timer on the screen, or you could do it so someone has to walk up and press off for that message to go away. You can also send updates, remove apps, uninstall apps, set policies. You can even do a workflow. So turn this on, turn this off, uninstall this, install this, boot this on start. Send that to all the screens at the same time. So it makes managing them a lot easier. By the way, it's cloud-based, just as our signage is as well. So signage, you just log onto a portal and you can send basically the same sort of messages through signage to all our screens as well. I think this is a pretty awesome story. So we are used by defense right across the board, not just here in Australia. We've also got the Indonesian and New Zealand Defence Force using us as well. Again, not just the Australian Defence Force in Australia, we actually have the Australian Defence Force using CommBox overseas. We are cleared up to top secret, and we actually had a meeting with Defence earlier this year and found out we're cleared above top secret. So that was cool. It's fun to say, kind of sound like James Bond when you say it. Well, that's kind of how I feel anyway. We do have, we actually collaborated with the Defence Force as well. So the Air Force cadets use CommBox in their rooms. They have 420 rooms around the country. So we actually collaborated with the Air Force and made an app with them on how to train their cadets and stuff like that. So that was quite cool as well. Old Scotty from marketing, or Scotty from 6 different positions that he held, as we've found out recently. But yeah, look, we are used by the Australian PM, not just the Australian PM, the Singaporean, Cook Islands and Fijian Prime Ministers all use CommBox as well, which is pretty awesome. We're slowly taking over the APAC region. I want to give you a sneak peek. So I've talked about our development. I've talked about how we develop onshore. I talked about the Combox Crew and how we get feedback from our customers to build into our panel and come up with our product roadmap. So part of that is actually about the software side of things and where we're going with it. So this has actually come directly from feedback. So this will be on our next version or next software update. So what that means is eventually you'll see the home screen shortly. That's as it is currently. Where we're moving is that you'll have the ability to, put widgets on your home screen, your favorite apps. You've got a easier or more complicated, depending on how you want to set it up. So we know that not all teachers will do this, but the teachers that do want to have their own personalized home screen, they can. And the great thing is where we're going with it is that eventually you'll be able to log in and out and actually take this around to other screens. So moving from one classroom to another one, you can take your home screen with you. So great for your senior schools. Obviously junior schools, it's fine because they're in the classroom, in the same classroom all the time. So yeah, we're quite excited about this. Look, in terms of hardware, software, things are always changing. We're always going to develop, improve our hardware. This panel behind me actually just came out a few months ago. It's just a slightly newer version of the current version that we're on. And yeah, so we added USB-C, we put in better sensors, so the handwriting experience improved even more, became even faster as well. So yeah, that's on the horizon. And look, in terms of software, we don't just develop a product. If in 6 months' time, a year's time, or something like that, we do release a new panel, we're not just going to stop supporting the old ones. We always make sure that our apps work on the current and older versions. So, for example, we have an Android 5, I think, is where we started, and our current apps will actually work on that one too. So we don't just forget about our users, because of course this screen, really in a school, we have a standard 5-year on-site warranty. We can go up to 7, but really most schools will be using this from anywhere from 7 to 10 years and even beyond. As I said, we still have schools that put these in 11 years ago and they're still using them today, our first generation. Okay, so I gave a little hint there before. I said, so we have something on the horizon. We are releasing a bigger screen. So this one won't be for your classroom. And I say that because this is a 98-inch screen. And while it's very impressive and it's awesome to use, I'm 6'6". I have a 6'7" wingspan and I can't reach it all right. So if you imagine a 5 foot tall teacher trying to teach the class, you've got to take steps to get across the screen. So it's not the most efficient, effective way to teach, especially, you know, some teachers can't even reach the top of it unless you lower it down, which is where a motorized stand could come in handy. But yeah, look, the idea of this one is that it will replace your 2 dual meeting room setup screens with 1 screen. So it's ultra wide format, 21:9. And it's going to be 105 inches. I can also give a little bit more of a sneak peek. We are also going to release a 110-inch version as well. So this is the room that I'm in now. This is where we do our demos and our training. So if you guys are to purchase CommBox, this is where we will do our post-sales training. It could be on site as well, just depends on, you know, when we're up there. And things like that. But yeah, this is generally where we do our training from. And guys, as I mentioned before, if you do ever have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. I'll just check those now because I haven't been focusing on that. No, it looks like we're good.
I've got a question here, Peter.
Yeah, Pat.
So those with those wide 21:9 screens, can you put those on trolleys? Or are they designed to be going on trolley?
That's a very good question. We actually don't have the answer. I actually asked this question the other day. Great minds think alike. So we're not sure yet. And the reason we're not sure is just because we haven't been able to test it. Once we have these in the country, we'll test it. We'll test what it goes on of our current trolleys and our current mounts. And if it doesn't, I'm sure we will be making ones that will support it.
And are there any other software or Android-based apps which would be different, or?
Yes, so that's one of the big differences. These won't actually have Android in there. So they're all about a meeting room. So the idea is that you're going to put a Microsoft Teams room on there, or we have a built-in computer with these ones. So instead of the Android system and having the optional slot-in PC, it comes standard with the PC built in. It's i7 and it's 11th gen. So it's the latest model.
That's sweet. Nice.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So this is where we do our training. I think a couple more slides. Yeah, we're basically done in terms of just some of the information I wanted to get through. I will run you through the current, like what you have on the home screen. So, you know, we've got our whiteboard. I'll just pick up the pen. Got a double-sided pen, so I'll make one side thin and one side thick. So we've got 2 different colors there. Of course, it's multi-touch. You know, we've got gestures. We could use a flat surface as an eraser, or we actually have these cute little whiteboard erasers. So it's an actual whiteboard eraser. And what we can do is just walk up and rub that out like that. We do have a precise eraser as well, where you can use the end of the pen as an eraser. So if you just wanted to fix up a letter, you don't have to rub out the whole word or sentence at the same time. Down the bottom here, you'll notice we can have multiple whiteboards open. So this could be something like a soccer pitch. And then we've got the other one there. So we can see a preview of the 2 there. It is an infinite canvas. So if I filled up this page with content, I can then just pinch and zoom. So I can zoom in or I can zoom out, and I can zoom out quite far, even more than that. And we can push that up to the corner or even off the screen completely. Next up, look, we can save this. So we can save this to the internal memory. We could save it to a USB, or we can share through a QR code. There we go. Everyone should be pretty good at these by now. Look, the thought is everyone has Teams on their phones. So it's not for the students. It just makes it easier for the teacher to scan that, drop it in Teams, drop it in OneNote, however you want to do it. Just nice and easy and quick to share. Browser, I won't go into that one. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Apps, training, inputs. So let's start with the apps. I mentioned AirServer before. You know, update the system. We've got the CommBox Manage I went through. And then we've got the store. So the reason we have our own store in here is because we're not really satisfied with the way all apps work. As I mentioned, this is a 98-inch screen. When you make an Android app, you generally make it for a 5 to 7 inch phone. So they don't always scale the best. All these apps in here we have tested, we're happy with the way they work. And if we're not, we, instead of saying install, we say open. So we'll actually take you to a browser, a web-based version of essentially the app, but it's the same thing. It's just web-based. Look, we have every app in here that education and business should need. Things like ClickView, Reading Eggs, Mathletics. We've got a bunch of CommBox apps. Again, we're committed to releasing one app or tool every month as well. So yeah, we've got a whole lot of stuff in here. If you don't have, or if you find that we don't have what you want, there's 3 ways we can go about it. One, you can reach out to us, because the chances are, if you guys as a school want to see something in there that we don't have, other schools will want it too. 2 is to download an APK file and install it through a USB. And then 3, using our managed system, you can actually push an update even from the Google Play Store. So you can do it that way as well. Okay, training. I did mention we have post-sales training. So, that doesn't have to be a one-off either. We know that in the teaching space, the turnover rate is quite high. So you're going to have new people go, old people leave every year. So when those new people come, or every semester or term even, we can always do another training session for you guys. We do have frequently asked questions on here as well. So basically, what can you do on the CommBox? How to use Microsoft Inking? How to connect via cable? How to connect wirelessly? All that sort of stuff. We also have a live chat feature down here. So we can send a message to our support team and they'll get back to us straight away. Lastly, what I'm going to do is just going to switch over to the PC, which is where I was presenting that PowerPoint from. And the reason I want to come in here is I just want to show you a few features that we have on the CommBox. So we integrate with Windows Ink. Oh, let me just open up a new Excel document. So what I can do is, I'm sure you've all seen and used these draw tools up here. So let's choose a color like red. And then what I can do is I can start to annotate on the screen, and the screen will know, or the CommBox will know, the difference between my finger and the pen. So when I want to annotate, I can, and then when I want to move the document, zoom in, annotate, zoom out. It's all nice and easy. So we can just do it like that. Next up, obviously, the great thing is those annotations are now built into the document, and we can just share that nice and easy straight away. Pat, could you just keep an eye out on those questions? If any come through, just let me know in that Q&A section or in the chat box. Next up, look, that feature I just showed, that Microsoft Inking feature, that will work right throughout the Windows suite. So be it OneNote, PowerPoint, Excel, Word. If you're going to use a PDF, we really encourage you to use Edge, the browser, again, because you have these built-in touch tools. So, I can zoom in. This is a massive document. So this is like, how many pages? What is this? 23 pages of pretty graphic intents. And again, I can just touch the pen to the screen. It knows I want to annotate. And then I can zoom out and move the document from there. A couple other things to show you quickly. Something that you might have seen before, you might not have. We are a very tough touchscreen. We know this because we've done the kick test. We've had schools try to break them before. We have had a couple students break them, and I'll get into that if you like. But look, we started with the stylus test. Is it stylus compatible through a pen edit? Apple compatible through an Apple edit? Finished with the kick test. There's going to be one more here. The reason he came in for that final fly kick, so we said, all right, guys, come out. We'll give you $100 to try to break the screen. If they could break it, and if they did break it, there was a bonus hundy in it for him. So that's why he came in for that final fly kick at the end. He knew that was his last chance to make that bonus 100. Obviously, he didn't break it, but we're nice people, so we did give him the 200 anyway. Just briefly, I'll just touch on some of the apps that we have as well. Some of the popular ones, we've got the app called the Spinner. So the idea of this one, you can import an Excel document and feed it into this, so you don't have to manually type in the names. But let's say you say, all right, kids, whoever this lands on has to take the bins out. So we can make it an unhappy face, hit spin. Sorry, you won't be able to hear it because I've got a lapel mic. But basically what happens here is it would be going wah, 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 wah. So it makes an unhappy sound, lose a sound. And then we've got a winner sound. So it'll go land on someone and it'll go, yay. So yeah, kids love it. We have played shot roulette with this as well in the office one day. Next up, I'll just show another one. We've got the planner. This is really cool. Again, this is actually with something we collaborated with an end user. So we collaborated with a school. In fact, you'll be able to see this. Might be a bit hard to see the school name actually for you guys, but it says developed with Narromine Public School. So basically what happened is those teachers, they're all doing something like this. So basically they had a plan, you know, English, maths, recess, and they would plan out their day using either post-it notes, stickers, laminated sheets, write it on a whiteboard. Every teacher was doing it in a different way. So we actually worked with them. You know, you can customize it. You can put presets that we've had in there already. You know, we've got these little kind of like icons for them as well. But you can actually create your own, and you can even put your own pictures in there. So that's something a lot of schools do as well. And the idea as well, you can set up for the week, and I'll just close this. It's going to float on the screen still. So it's an overlay. So obviously we're in the Windows environment at the moment, but we've still got that Android app floating over the top. And what I can do is I can come along and I can check things off as we go. So we've done that. Next up is recess. Okay, now we've done that. Especially for the little ones, you know, junior, they love it. And they love like interacting with it. So if you say, all right, well done, Thomas, you know, you got the best results there. Come up and you can check that one off, and you know, they feel amazing and get praise and that sort of stuff. Apart from that, look, we do have a bunch of other apps. So if you want to check out our apps and you don't have a CommBox, you can head to store.combox.com.au and you can check out all our apps in there. Not just our apps, but all the apps that we have on the store as well. Awesome. Look, that's pretty much everything I wanted to run through. So are there any questions, guys? Please feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A section. And yeah, happy to answer any questions. One thing we did want to mention is that we have demo screens available. So if you guys are looking at AV for your school and you want to see one in person, let us know. Pat, they have a screen in their office too in Brisbane. So you're welcome to go out and check that out as well. Otherwise, if you want a bit more in-depth or a chat, we can always do another team session like this one with your school. Anything else you want to add to that, Pat?
No, that was great, Pete. No, very, very excited to see the 29, what is it, 21 by 9.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Hey, how's the memory on me? So yeah, that's awesome. So thank you very much for everyone that could make it. This session is also recorded, right, Pete?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
So no worries. I'll chase that up with or send that out and make sure that people that didn't get to make it this afternoon gets to see the session. And there was a promise of goodies as well.
Yes. So we're going to be sending out like a bit of a prize pack. So we're going to have some merch in there, and we'll put some information in there as well. So if you want to reach out, feel free. The way we do that, I think we have that information already. I believe you put your address in when you signed up, and that's so we can send you that in the mail. If I can't remember the form, if that wasn't the case, don't worry. We know the school that you're from, so we'll just address it to you and send it to your environment, and yeah, you'll be able to get it that way as well. Awesome. Well, look, thanks for joining, everyone. Happy Thursday afternoon. It is Friday Junior, as I like to call it. So yeah, we'll wrap up there. And thanks, Pat, for organizing this all.
No, thanks guys. Thanks everyone.
Thanks all. We'll see you later.